Hello again, everyone. I'm back with some more magic for you. Today I've got an Orzhov Lifegain deck that was requested from a commenter on my last video, actually. They wanted an Orzhov deck with Essence Channeler and Bloodthirsty Conqueror. I threw this together a bit haphazardly, but I think this is a pretty good setup. At least I've tried it out a little bit and it was fun. So we've got Hinterland Sanctifier as a early life gain mechanic. I like this much better than things like Life Creed Duo because it is a 1-drop. So even if it dies, it's not that big a deal. But you get it out on potentially turn 1, like Case of the Uneaten Feast, so both are very good. I'm running 3 of each, which I at least think is better than running a 4 of just one of them. We've got Essence Channeler, which was requested, one of your big payoffs for the life gain effects. Got Get Lost and Go for the Throat for the removal in this deck. I do have a sideboard built for this as a traditional standard deck, so you could play best of 3 with it, where if you're running up against a much more aggro-y deck, mono red, or any of the variants of that, we've got Authority of the Council so that you gain life gain off of the opponent's creatures entering, and they enter tapped, which can be really nice, completely shuts down things like Urbrask's Forge and can really help against that mono red matchup. But then also we've got Elspeth's Smite for that matchup as well, or any kind of really aggressive deck. So if you're needing that really quick removal instead of something on turn 2, we've got a sideboard for that. I've also got Exercise in case they're running artifacts heavily, things like that Get Lost can't hit. Ghost Vacuum for your more graveyard focused decks, which there are a lot of right now. The Azorius deck that runs the Oculus is really popular, so it can help with that. We've also got Duress for more of the controlling matchups, and One the End in case you just want to run something to remove something like one of those Oculus. This can be really helpful. But anyway, back to the main deck. We've got Starscape Cleric. This card is important on 2 fronts. For one, since this deck really does focus heavily on life gain, this gives you a way to hurt your opponent while gaining life. But also, since Bloodthirsty Conqueror was requested in the deck, I wanted to make sure to include at least one way to get that instant win combo to work. So Starscape Cleric can give you that life drain and life gain with Bloodthirsty Conqueror that is necessary for the instant win combo. We've got Amalia, which, like the Essence Channeler, is a really good payoff for that life gain we're getting, as well as the Sadistic Pilgrim, another really good way of gaining life. You can use an Ajani Pridemate in this deck, but I think with the Sanctifier, with the Essence Channeler and the Amalia are just better payoffs. They've got alternate things to them with like the Ward 3 and the Scry, or the fact that you can move the tokens when this creature dies, and the fact that it can get Vigilance and Flying if you take damage, really make them significantly better than the Pridemate. I've got Preacher of the Schism here. This card is just fantastic in general. It is a vampire that allows you to draw cards potentially, or get other 1/1 blocker vampires potentially. So it's got Death Touch, it's a 2/4, and all of the decks so far up to this point can be targeted with Zoraline's ability to return things from the graveyard. So fantastic in all of those regards. We aren't playing super heavy on bats. We've got the Essence Channeler, Starscape Cleric, and Zoraline, but we're not really running other bats other than that, so we're not going to get a huge amount of value from the first ability of whenever a bat you control attacks gain 1 life, but it still can be relevant with the Essence Channeler alone and things like that, so it is still very good in that regard. We've got 2 copies of Alinda, Saint of the Dusk in here. I really like this card. I don't see a lot of play from it, which is fair because it is a 4-drop. That means this can't be hit with Zoraline's ability to bring something back from the graveyard or anything like that. But it has lifelink, hexproof from instance, and as long as your life total is higher than your starting life total, Alinda gets +1/+1 and menace, and if it's 30 or more, then you get +5/+5 on top of that too. So this would become a 10/10 with menace, lifelink, and hexproof from instance. So I've got a couple of it in here. It's a very good card as well. Obviously, we've got the Bloodthirsty Conqueror, since it's one of the cards that was requested. Flying, Death Touch, and whenever your opponent loses life, you gain life. This is a fantastic card for gaining life in general. It's a very strong aerial creature, so it's hard to deal with, and as I mentioned, it does have instant win combo potential, so very good. And then I've included as well one of my favorite cards from the House of Horror set, the Dollmaker's Shop and Porcelain Gallery. I haven't seen anyone run this card in any of the life gain decks, but I think it's fantastic, since the bulk of your life gain comes from ETB effects from creatures. So anytime you attack with any creature, which you should be doing frequently because we've got flyers, we've got things that'll be big and hard to kill, and even potentially things with Death Touch, you'll get a 1/1 toy token. And since these are there are no toy creatures in the deck at all other than this, you have a really good way of doing that. Even going turn 1 with like a Hinterland Sanctifier, turn 2 with a Dollmaker's Shop, and then attacking with the Sanctifier is a really good option really early in the match to start building up life and creatures. And then as a win condition, if you get up to 6 mana, then you can use the Porcelain Gallery to make all of your creatures gigantic and swing for a win. I do have a pretty basic mana base here: 4 Caves of Koilos, 4 Concealed Courtyards. I'm running 3 Restless Fortress and 2 Scoured Barrens. I added the Scoured Barrens just for the life gain. It can give you extra triggers on Amalia and the Essence Channeler. And I'm only running 3 Restless Fortress because, honestly, these 5 cards right here can slow you down a lot when we've got turn 1 plays we want to do. So I tried to minimize them as much as possible. You could easily run more Scoured Barrens or some other potential pain lands to try and make sure you can trigger a bit your Essence Channelers flying and vigilance more frequently, but I just didn't see that it was necessary. But anyway, I'll go ahead and get into the games. Hopefully we can get a good couple of games with this. I tested it out some and had some good matches so far, so I was pretty happy with it. I'm gonna go for 3 wins in best of 1 like I normally do, so that I don't run the video too long. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Alright, we get to go first. We've got a really good looking hand here. Hopefully we get some of our life game payoff cards. Even if not, we can start playing some Starscape Clerics next. Attack with our Death Touch guy. Got a really nice looking opening here, actually. Probably should go ahead and kill that so that he can't get a lot of payoff from it. He tossed the second one, which is actually pretty nice for us. We've got a Zorline, which is actually really, really nice. Let's play that instead. Actually decided to block the with the Amalia. That's pretty surprising. We're already up to 30. Okay. Was focusing on bringing things back from the graveyard. Interesting. Probably going to be running Rays from the Past in this deck if I had to guess. Okay, we've got a land, which means we should be able to go ahead and do both, which is pretty nice. Let's get another Starscape Cleric going. Then let's get rid of Amalia. Leave back our Hinterland. Get some more life from Zorleen. So even more damage on our opponent. Alright, game 1, an easy win. As I said, with Zorleen, it's not always going to get payoff from the bat triggers, but with even just 1 or 2 other bats, it's pretty substantial. We only lost 1 creature and didn't have any of our big payoffs here for life gain, but still this was fantastic. And if we had left up the mana for it, we could have even used Zorleen to bring back the Sadistic Pilgrim. So, very good game 1. We'll see if we can't get 2 more interesting matches. Looks like a pretty great opening hand, and we're going first, so I'll keep it. We don't have a turn 1 play, so I'll actually start with the Fortress. Looks like this is probably going to be a Domain deck, if I had to guess. Could just be Simic. They do appear to be looking to play off the graveyard. Let's go with the case and get a Dollmaker Shop going. Our Pilgrim is a perfect creature to be able to attack with. We do have the land to make use of both these Go for the Throats, but hopefully we draw a little bit more interesting stuff going forward. Because we are going to be under the gun with him wanting to do things like Squirming Emergence. We have an Olinda. Very nice. So we're actually looking pretty good here. Alright. Don't quite have the mana for the Conqueror, and this requires 4 taps, so can't do any of that. But let's go ahead and just attack in with what we've got. Not quite up to 30 yet, unfortunately, for the Olinda, but we're close. Alright, now we've got a 10-10 with Olinda. And mana's all open for us to kill whatever the opponent plays. Hexproof against instants means Olinda is going to be at least annoying to get rid of, if nothing else. I'll just discard a Go for the Throat, since we have a backup. Alright, and it looks like our opponent's just dead here. Yep, so easy turn, play the Sanctifier, play the Sadistic Pilgrim, swing out for well more than enough with Olinda. Really easy second game also. Let's go for game 3. Alright, we get to go first, but unfortunately no white mana means I think I mull. This looks pretty okay, I'll keep this. Let's get rid of... Preacher, I guess. I'd really like to take advantage of this case, but at the moment I think it's better just to go for the tap land and get Sadistic Pilgrim going. Okay, we're really looking for some land here now, unfortunately. Maybe Amalia can help with that a little bit. Okay, no more lies is going to slow us down quite a bit then. did finally get another land, so let's go with the Case and then Amalia. More land, actually pretty welcome at the moment. And a Dollmaker shop isn't bad either. Okay, so clearly the opponent wanted to try and counter, but wasn't on 2 blue. Alright, let's go with a Plains and a Starscape Cleric, because that's going to make this really interesting if they don't counter it. I'm betting on them not having 2 counter spells, essentially, so that's why I'm going with Starscape Cleric first. Don't need another Conqueror. Okay, and we've got another land, which isn't bad because that'll let us play our new, or our already existing Conqueror. We'll see if he wants to counter the Dollmaker shop. Apparently he does not. I'll just go for a full-on attack, I suppose. Alinda's a pretty nice card, I'll let that sit. Alright, our opponent's at 4, and we do have an instant win combo. Excuse me. Our opponent's sitting at 4, and we do have an instant win combo available if they don't counter. Okay. Well, they've cleared our board, which is pretty disappointing. I'm gonna go ahead and get the Conqueror out, because a flying threat is a lot more for them to have to deal with. Could get them to 1 by attacking with the Cottage. Another Sunfall for our singular creature. Interesting. I think in this case it's still going to be better for me to just go with Alinda. If they don't counter it, we're setting up pretty nicely here, and we do have an Amalia now as well. Alinda is currently a 5/5 with Menace and Lifelink, and Hexproof against instants. Still waiting to see what our opponent does. They've got all the mana in the world to work with, essentially, because they've got those, what are these things even called? Mind Splice Apparatus, and they do have token creatures they can animate. Not that that's much of a threat at the moment to me. Season of Weaving. Copied another Mind Splice apparatus and another one. Down to 4 mana on their end. I don't know if any of this is blue. It is not, so they're all out of blue mana. So this was an Esper Control type deck. Still waiting to see what they're doing. Their clock's ticking down. Sanguinate does buy them time. Okay, let's get Amalia down. Got us a land. Scoured Barrens will help us a bit more, though. Starscape Cleric's a fantastic draw. Hopefully the opponent doesn't have another Sunfall ready already. And they are currently at 4 again. And I'm back up to 27. They have blue mana available now. I think we're looking pretty good, assuming... I don't know. We're looking pretty good assuming they don't have another Sunfall ready. Okay. I am at the mercy of passing. Let's see what we've got going on this next turn. Waiting again on our opponent. I apologize that they're thinking a lot, and I understand that, but it's also causing like a real rope situation here. So, apologize for the delay, guys. Alright, my turn. We got a land. I'm gonna try for the double Starscape Cleric. Okay, goes through. Okay, and our opponent gave up finally. So we managed to pull out a third win pretty easily. This was a pretty good deck, but they didn't have a lot that they could do against us, I guess, in this situation. But, because Esper Control can be pretty mean, but I guess they just didn't have it. We were going to be getting, let's see, life gain triggers from the Case of the Uneaten Feast for both these creatures, which would put them at 2, and then they'd be at 1 from the... No, they'd be dead from the Dollmaker Shop token coming in, so we had them before even combat damage mattered. So, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Like I said, this deck was more or less a request from someone in the comments on the last video, so I hope this worked out good for you, and that this was at least somewhat of what you were looking for. I hope you keep joining me for more videos in the future.